The Girl Baba Left Behind, a visual memoir by Shaharin Mushrekat. To my Alwali, Abbu, Ammu, Babu, Nanu, and Ibu, thank you for saving me tirelessly, consistently, and without fail every time. To Bappa, thank you for being my in-house editor, my confidant, my best friend, the lighthouse of my values. What my pain taught me about love, legacy, and becoming myself. Prologue, a sihr. It was a Saturday, the kind that felt too quiet, like something was waiting to surface. We didn't talk much on the way there, just got in the car, shoulders touching, hearts heavy. It had been 5 years of loss, one thing after another. None of us had the words for it anymore, only the silence. The drive took 40 minutes. We were on our way to meet a man, an ustad, someone who recited verses not to soothe but to stir. We weren't promised healing, just a session, maybe clarity, maybe calm, but what we got was confrontation in its purest essence. Sacred echoes engulfed a room holding 5 believers in what looked like a quiet suburban home. The ustad's voice was strong, sharp, like he wasn't reciting to us but at something. Something unseen, something ancient, something that maybe had been living with us, inside us for a long, long time. And then he said it, a sihr, once, twice, 5 times. Magic, or in my language, something not of this world. My body started shaking, first a tremble, then a twist, then a wave of motion I couldn't control. It felt like horror, like my body was being dragged through something it had never agreed to. I threw up, hard, from somewhere deeper than my stomach. It wasn't sickness, it wasn't food, it was everything. The betrayal, the shame, the nights I screamed into pillows so no one would hear me fall apart. The attempts where I wanted to disappear into infinite nothingness. The prayers I whispered even when I didn't believe anyone was listening. May Allah forgive me. Astaghfirullah. The grief, not just of losing my father, but of losing my very own self. And as I curled over myself, breathless and dazed, I realized I hadn't just carried pain, I had become a container for it. Maybe it was a spiritual purge, maybe it was a trauma response, maybe it was a panic attack wrapped in ancient Arabic. Let me tell you this, whatever it was real. It was real and it broke something open in me. Sometimes grief doesn't walk in through the front door. Sometimes it creeps in through the back, disguised as fatigue, irritability, control. Sometimes the ones who wound you most are the ones you swore loud and proud would never hurt you. The ones you let in with both hands open. The ones who praise your light while quietly extinguishing it. Sometimes you think you've healed. You think you're done with the tears. But your body, your beautiful, faithful, exhausted body, tells a different story. Not yet, it whispers. Not all the way. I didn't leave that session fixed. I left it emptied. And somehow emptiness felt like a new beginning, one that we all desperately needed and had earned. Because after 5 years of death and disappointment, I finally let it all catch up to me. I stopped pretending I was strong. I stopped telling myself I'd moved on. I just felt it and I stayed. To every woman who's ever been called too much, this is my love letter for you. To every woman who's been told she's too sensitive, too emotional, or just too much, I see you. And trust me, I get it. Let me tell you what strength really looks like when it's wrapped in softness. Let me show you how leadership can come from all the mess and grief, not just the polished parts. Let me tell you what healing sounds like when you stop pretending you're okay. I proudly feel everything all at once. I carry grief in my jaw and hope in my fingertips. I love fiercely, cry easily, and notice things most people don't. I'm neurodivergent. I'm highly sensitive. I live with BPD, PTSD, anxiety, and depression. But most of all, I'm still here. And honestly, for a long time, being here didn't feel like enough. But now I realize it's everything. I don't want to lead like I'm perfect. I want to lead because I'm broken and because I keep showing up anyway. This is who I am now. And if you're listening to this, maybe it's who you are too. What this taught me and might teach you: your body remembers what your mind buries. If you don't face your grief, it will find a way to face you. You don't need to explain your experience for it to be valid. Call it spiritual, call it psychological, call it both, call it anything. It's yours. Even betrayal can be a teacher. Sometimes your deepest wisdom is carved by the same people who hurt you the most. Don't lead from image, lead from intimacy. Your vulnerability isn't a liability, it's your power. This is just the first chapter, the first unraveling, the first time I let the world see what pain did to me and what it gave me in return. From here, we'll talk through the 5 years that followed, the career losses, the home I had to let go of, the people I said goodbye to, the woman I fought to become. Every chapter will begin with a story, and every story will leave you with lessons. Not just how to survive, but how to lead, love, and rebuild after everything falls apart. Because even if all you're holding is a sad song, you still get to choose how to play it. And you can always, always make it a little bit better. Chapter 1. The day I woke up in a psych ward. It was 2020, the year the world stood still and mine fell apart. My father had just passed away, and with him I lost my appetite, my sleep, my sense of God, my sense of gravity. Food felt like noise, water was just texture, days blurred into nights. Time lost its edges. Then one day I opened my eyes and realized I was in a locked room. Not at home, not in my bed, not even in my body really. I was under Form 1, an involuntary mental health hold in Ontario. Legally, it meant I was a risk to myself or others, be kept in a psychiatric hospital for up to 72 hours without consent. I had been admitted because the weight of it all had become too much, and my body knew it before my mind was willing to admit it. In that sterile room with fluorescent lights humming above and a hospital bracelet digging into my wrist, I finally woke up. And the truth hit me with a force I still cannot describe. He's gone. My father is really gone, and I will never see him again. It wasn't just heartbreak. It was a kind of pain that doesn't have language. A pain that lives in your bones, in your breath, in your silence. My father wasn't just my parent. He was my compass. The man who gave me everything he had: emotional safety, psychological protection, a financial safety net, and a future. He moved us to Canada with every last dollar, carrying the quiet weight of someone who knew tomorrow wasn't promised. He was right, and he wanted to make sure that even if he wasn't here, we'd be okay. There are no words for that kind of love. Since he died, life has never been the same. We were forced to grow up too soon, carrying dreams that felt heavier in a world where the love that once held us whole had suddenly torn in half. He was my North Star, my blueprint, my very best friend. The morning after he passed, I had a phone interview for a job I had applied 2 months before. I hadn't prepped. There were no notes in front of me, just a silent room, my tear-streaked face, a hand in mine, and a voice on the other end of the line. And still I showed up. My voice was chirpy, professional, polished, fine. Because that's how my dad raised me to be. He raised me to be composed, to be resilient, to show up for responsibilities even when life falls apart. And that day I did. The love of my life, or so it seemed in those tender years, slipped from certainty for the first time. He couldn't understand how I could speak so clearly, how I could sound okay. It stung deeply to feel like I had to prove my grief to him, who claimed to understand me the most. But here's what I have learned. Grief doesn't always look like sobbing. Sometimes it's silent, sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it puts on a clean shirt and takes a call because it has to. Sometimes strength doesn't look the way people expect it to, and that misalignment they feel is not your burden to bear. That phone call wasn't a performance. It was a tribute. It was a daughter doing what her father would have done. It was my grief in action. I got that job. I stayed for over a year. I grew, quietly, slowly, painfully, but I grew. Not because I was healed, but because I was trying. Because I knew that healing doesn't always come in beautiful moments. Sometimes it comes in small choices, like showing up to a phone interview the day after your world ends. What this taught me, and what this might teach you. Grief doesn't make you weak, it makes you real. Let it breathe. You need to breathe too. Being misunderstood doesn't make your pain less valid. Not everyone will get it, but that doesn't mean you're not allowed to feel it fully. Your strength may not look like strength to others. That's okay. Keep showing up anyway in your way. Functioning isn't faking. Sometimes showing up is your way of grieving, and sometimes stepping back, resting, or simply pausing is your way too. Take as much time as you need. There's no timeline, no rule, no right or wrong way to grieve. Every step, whether forward or still, is part of honoring your loss. The people we lose live in our actions. Every time I choose to stand tall, to speak with care, do the hard thing, I was honoring my father. I still am. This chapter isn't about being locked up. It's about waking up to pain, to loss, to reality, to resilience, to growth. To the love that never left, to the voice in my head that still sounds like Baba's, whispering with a mischievous grin I can so clearly see. Beta, you're doing good. Keep going. Chapter 2. The last day of my greatest love story. I felt it before it happened. The silence between us had grown longer. The songs we used to sing in the car didn't feel the same anymore. His laughter started arriving later than mine. His presence felt like an echo of the man I had once known. Still there, but further and further out of reach. Something had shifted. Indifference had crept in slowly, like dusk swallowing the last light. It wasn't one moment. It was a series of tiny, quiet goodbyes. But the day it ended, the day he really ended it, was completely ordinary. I still remember twirling in the skirt I had picked out that morning, asking my mom and my siblings if they thought he'd like it, if I looked pretty, if my outfit was good enough. I wanted to look soft that day. I wanted to be the version of me he used to love, the girl who laughed too loudly, who matched her jewelry, who still believed that love, real love, was enough. He picked me up like he always did. We went on a drive, like we always did, only this time we fought. Hard. We raised voices. We dug up hurts we'd buried for too long. And somewhere in that desperation, I begged. I don't remember what I said, but I remember the shame rising in my throat as the words left my mouth. I remember him reaching over, holding my hand and stopping me. His voice was calm. Too calm. And he said, quote, "You were not raised to beg. You are worth so much more," unquote. And just like that, the person I thought I'd grow old with became a memory I wasn't ready to make. What followed was a year of back and forth, trying, apologizing, hurting, forgiving, then hurting again. We loved like wildfire, all consuming, no boundaries, no logic. And when it was gone, the silence it left was deafening. Even now, 5 years later, the grief of that loss lives in me like it just happened yesterday. Some days I grieve the version of myself I was with him just as much as I grieve my father. Because he didn't just love me, he taught me what love could feel like. Soft, safe, sweet, sacred. I would have done anything for him, anything, except give myself up. And that's where the deepest lesson lived. You can love someone with everything in you. You can plan your whole life around them. You can ache for them in the way grief aches, quietly then all at once. But the one thing you must never do is let that love extinguish who you are. At the end of it all, your greatest love story, the one that will carry you through every loss, will always be the one you write with yourself. You cannot give away your soul just to keep someone beside you. Even the ones you'd give the world to, they don't get to dim your light, to stay close. What this taught me, and what this might teach you. Not every love is meant to last, but every love leaves a lesson. Even the ones that break your heart become a part of how you build your future. Begging for love is not the same as fighting for it. Love cannot survive in imbalance. It must choose you, freely, fully. You can honor someone's memory and still let them go. You don't have to hate someone to heal from them. You just have to choose yourself more. The love you give others must also be given inward. If you're willing to stay up late, forgive, try again, show up. Do that for you too. Even the softest heartbreaks can leave the loudest echoes. Let them echo, but don't let them define the silence that comes next. Fill that space with you. I look back now at that girl, the one who twirled in her skirt and hoped so earnestly that love would be enough. Oh, how I wish I could go back and wrap her in the warmest hug. I wish I could whisper in her ear, "The pain will subside. There is light somewhere, and I promise I'll walk beside you until you find it." Because even if he didn't choose you, you can still choose you. And that will always be enough. Chapter 3. The day I woke up on the other side. The first time I felt it, really felt it, was when I reached out to someone I once called my soul sister. I was cracked open, hoping to be held. I had just shared something tender about a loved one, something I hadn't even said out loud before. And instead of softness, I was met with a kind of cruelty that I struggle to place into words even today. I didn't say anything back. What could I say? It felt like being winded, a punch that didn't hit my body but stole my breath anyway. What shocked me wasn't just the judgment, it was how casually it came. That moment didn't end the friendship, but it was the beginning of the quiet unraveling. Gifts kept coming, conversations continued, but my heart, it had already started packing its bags. They couldn't see it, but I could. They were standing still in a world I no longer belonged to. Emotionally, spiritually, they were frozen in a snow globe, safe, sheltered, shaken only by the things they choose to feel. And I was outside the glass, banging for air, for meaning, for someone to understand. I call it the other side. If you ever watched The Vampire Diaries, you might remember that space. A kind of limbo where the supernatural would linger after death, unseen by the living, aching for closure. That's what it felt like I had crossed over, not into death, but into a different kind of knowing. A realm where people understand that not all pain is equal, where grief isn't poetic, it's paralyzing, where joy feels foreign, where small talk tastes like ash. There's a before and after in grief. And once you've crossed into the after, you begin to see the divide. There are people who believe the minor inconveniences that the mundane brings could possibly feel like the end of the world. And then there are people who carry the ache of loss alongside the quiet panic of empty cupboards, meals to make, ailing parents to take care of, and children to feed. Grief and responsibility entwined, neither pausing for the other. These people have gone to bed beside the same pain every night and woken up with it like an alarm clock in their chest. People who have watched their entire lives collapse in a single phone call, who have stood at airport terminals after plane crashes, who have clutched folded flags after 9/11, who have kissed the foreheads of their children in Gaza, not knowing if morning will come, who keep dreaming about freedom in oppressed lands. There is a kind of grief that rewires you, that no longer fits into dinner table conversations or Instagram captions. It lives in your bones. It teaches you to listen in silence, because words, most days, are too small. The last time I saw my high school friends was at a wedding. A full circle Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, a Bollywood cult classic that felt scripted by some bittersweet filmmaker. A reunion for the books. We were back together, the childhood gang, dancing to old classics, laughing like the last 7 years hadn't changed everything. I couldn't feel it. I tried. But the music wasn't loud enough to drown out what I was carrying. No matter how much I fought the memories, my body was still in survival mode. And my soul, it was desperate for safe harbor. Grief teaches you many things, and this was one of its loudest lessons. Some people will only love the version of you that stays small. Some people will call your survival selfish. And one day you have to choose yourself, even if it means walking away from the people you thought you couldn't live without. The bit no one talks about. When you're grieving, you will envy the happy ones, the ones with Sunday brunch plans, two-parent households, gentle love, and trivial problems that don't cut like knives. You will watch them laugh at things while your own laughter feels borrowed and hollow. You will ask, why not me? Why them? This is normal. Don't shame yourself for it. Welcome the envy. Name it. Let it sit with you like an old friend who's hurting too. Because envy at its core is grief in disguise. Grief for the version of life you didn't get. Grief for the ease others inherited. Soul work. What to do with envy. When it rises in your chest like a lump of heat, pause. Breathe. Ask gently, what is this envy trying to tell me? What do I still desire that I haven't honored yet? Where do I feel unseen? How can I channel this ache into something kind for myself or others? Then write it out, cry it out, move it through your body. Let your envy turn into a soft prayer. May I one day feel this kind of ease, and until then, may I be gentle with the ache inside me. Lord, take this envy from my hands and shape it into kindness, for the world has no shortage of need. Teach me how to sow light where I feel lack, to build beauty where I feel broken, and grant me the grace to rise into my higher self. What this taught me, and might teach you. Not all friendships are meant to last forever. Some friendships are chapters, some are mirrors, and some are gentle warnings. But every one of them holds a kind of beauty. If you let your wise mind stay soft through the sting, you might remember for a fleeting, sacred moment that you were exactly what the other needed. And they were exactly what you needed too. I hope that memory, however brief, can one day bring you peace, maybe even a smile. The world holds space for everyone to live out their main character days. If you ever get called the main character or labeled as someone stealing the spotlight, take it as a compliment, because that means you, my love, are living your life to the fullest. In borderline personality disorder, we call this the favorite person. This is the one person who becomes the emotional anchor, the savior, the only source of stability in the storm. They're the ones whose text not showing up makes your heart skip a beat. The one you catch yourself refreshing their social media more times than you remember to drink water. The one whose mood can shift your whole day. You might find yourself replaying their last reply in your head, overthinking every emoji, or texting them again even though you just did 5 minutes ago. They become the soundtrack to your highs and the weight of your lows, and it's exhausting for both parties. While the attachment feels so beautifully profound, it is also heartbreakingly fragile, because no human being can carry the weight of being everything for someone else. In DBT, dialectical behavior therapy often recommended for patients with BPT, we are taught real practical skills that help untangle this cycle, teaching us how to regulate emotions, create balance, and build healthier ways of connecting. At the end of the day, human beings are just human beings. And your God, your Savior, your center exists within you, however you choose to name it. Jealousy is a map. If you let it, it will show you where you still long to be held. You don't have to feel ashamed of being too much. You're just carrying more than most will ever understand. It is your destiny, and it is up to you to decide how you will play with the cards you have been dealt with. Your healing is your responsibility. Even if no one comes for you, you can come home to yourself. You're allowed to grieve and still draw boundaries. Being soft doesn't mean being defenseless. It just means when the swords come at you, you will find the most respectful way to detach yourself from the situation. In one of Imam Omar Suleiman's lectures, he talks about the inscription Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu found as he took possession of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's sword. Inscribed in it, a weapon that is meant to take and end life, a weapon of the utmost violence at the time. Quote, "Pardon those who have oppressed you. Keep in contact with those who have cut you off. Do good to those who have done evil to you, and speak the truth, even if it is against yourself." Unquote. Subhanallah, glory to Allah. Can you imagine the lesson that leaves behind for us? Not just the Ummah, followers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but for the whole world to ponder upon. You can have a sword with you, but what you do with your sword will always, always be on you. Chapter 4: The Haze, the Hangover, and the Awakening. There's a kind of daze that follows grief, a fog that settles in your bones and makes the wrong things feel right, and the right things feel out of reach. I entered the daze sometime after I lost my father. After I lost the who I thought I was, the love of my life. After I stopped recognizing who I was in the mirror. I did what so many people do when they don't know what else to do. I chased distractions. I chased joy the way I thought joy was supposed to look. Parties, festivals, flashy posts, smiles frozen in photos. A full calendar, an emptier heart. I was performing happiness while crumbling on the inside. I'd go from meaningless activities to walking with a lump in my chest all the time. I'd post perfectly timed carousels while skipping meals and prayers. Slowly but surely, my soul started slipping away from me. I thought love would be the antidote. The closeness, romance, and security could fill the gaps in me. So I let someone in. He was kind, present, warm. And in a world that felt chaotic, he felt steady. Over time, without realizing it, he became the center of my universe. The girl who once swore she'd never lose herself again, lost herself yet again, organizing her life around someone else's orbit. I prioritized that relationship above my family, my purpose, my faith. When the moments of misalignment came, I brushed them aside. I thought this is what real life must look like, and the bare minimum I asked for only existed in fairy tales I was never meant to experience. We got married. In many ways, it felt like the right next step. In my heart, though, something still felt blurry. Maybe it was the stress, maybe it was the expectations, maybe it was the weight of 1,000 hopes placed on my shoulders all at once. The wedding happened, the guests came, the pictures were perfect. And still something in me felt absent. The months that followed were layered, not just with challenges, but with a kind of emotional dissonance I couldn't name at the time. I tried to be everything to everyone: the good wife, the productive professional, the good daughter, the good sister, the present enough granddaughter. I showed up to every role but forgot to show up for myself. And eventually, the emotional toll caught up to me. One night, after a particularly painful argument, I couldn't sleep. The world felt so loud inside me. I walked to the balcony of our condo, the view paid for in savings and sleepless nights and quiet sacrifices, unfurled endlessly, just as stunning as the day it first stole my breath. For the first time in a long time, I let myself cry. Not the quiet kind, not only for myself, but for all of my predecessors and all of the ones who were on their way. The deep, rib shaking sobs of someone finally admitting that she was tired. Tired of surviving, tired of performing, tired of making herself smaller just to fit into spaces that were never meant for her. In that quiet moment, as the sun began to rise and the city woke up, I made a decision. I needed to come home to myself. I needed to stop trying to make something work that was slowly making me disappear. I packed a bag and I left. I cried all the way to my childhood home. I remember my Punjabi Uber driver asking me twice in his kindest tone,
"Ma'am, is everything okay?"
to which I said every time, yes. As I walked into the only space that felt safe for me at the time, I collapsed into my old bed. I was greeted by the quiet, wordless love of my sister, who wiped my tears with a cold cotton bud and said nothing, but said everything. The days after were heavy, but they were mine. There were no performances, no noise, just silence, and a slow, steady return to my own breath. I started praying again. I started listening to Tagore's songs again. I started dancing again. I started reading again. I started singing again. I started building again. I started yapping again. I started being me again. I finally, for the very first time, unapologetically, started listening to the version of me that I had buried beneath everyone else's expectations. I remembered who I was, who my father raised me to be. Before he passed, my father once said something to me, quote, "You're in a love haze right now, beta. And when the haze fades, be prepared to have the worst hangover," unquote. He said it gently without judgment. He was right. The haze was deep, and the hangover, it cracked me open. But waking up has been the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. Yes, even more beautiful than Chris Martin's voice at a Coldplay concert. Though the hangover of that love haze nearly drowned me, waking up has been nothing short of divine. Reflections and takeaways. Grief will lead you to places you never expected. Some healing, some humbling. Sometimes even good people are meant to walk your full journey with you. So my love, you don't owe anyone your peace. You owe yourself your presence. If you're stuck in the haze, know this: the awakening is coming. And when it does, it will be the beginning of everything. Chapter 5. Coming home to myself. There is a strange, sacred freedom in collapse. When the scaffolding of your identity falls and the labels, the roles, the perceptions all crumble, you meet yourself without pretense. You see what remains, what survived the fire. And what remained in me was this: A woman who dared to build when no one was watching. A woman who understood that the ladder might break and still climbed anyway, with grace, grit, and Allah. I've lost things, tangible, visible things. But what I've gained has been absolutely remarkable to experience. I've gained the quiet joy of watching sunlight spill through the curtains, the time to sit with the sky, to feel the leaves dance in real time, to drink tea slowly, to read things twice, to feel my heartbeat and not mistake it for anxiety. It's humbling. It's holy. There's a version of me that once walked the halls of Schulich, bright-eyed, full of potential, always asking big questions and dreaming impossible dreams. And I feel her again. Not because I have all the answers, but because I've stopped pretending I need to. Because I've let the world strip me of everything and still chosen to stay curious, to learn more of what it has to offer, the good and the bad. I am once again beginning with nothing, just like that wide, doe-eyed young aspiring leader, only this time she has with her a swarm of experience to carry her forward. Not just credentials and case studies, but the kind of life experience you don't add to your resume. The kind that teaches you how to carry heartbreak in one pocket and hope in the other. The kind that gives you grief and then gives you the tools to turn it into growth. I've learned that the work I've done on myself, the deep, spiritual, often invisible work, is the greatest asset I'll ever have. No layoff can revoke it. No divorce can taint it. No title can define it. And I carry that into every room I walk into. That self-respect, that self-awareness, that certainty in who I am becoming. Carrying the legacy of my family and my ancestors, my predecessors who paved the way for me so I can be recognized as a person under the law. If you're curious, search up Person's Case of 1929. To anyone reading this, especially if you're in your season of starting over, I always tell my siblings that this life is yours and it is sacred. I can hope you'll remember my words when the rain comes, that you'll tuck them away in your back pocket, pull them out when the world feels loud, and know this: you are never lost, not if you know how to come home to yourself. And that, my love, is a journey worth taking again and again. Chapter 6. The day I accepted my grief like an old friend. Everyone tells you that grief is cruel, but no one tells you how strangely beautiful it can be too. Not the act of losing, but the moments that follow, the ordinary ones, the quiet ones. I remember the exact moment I found out my father had passed, the sharpness of it, the sound of my world folding inward. But I also remember the softness that came after. The way my brother, my sister, and I held each other. In the pieces of our broken hearts, we somehow found a rhythm in our first taste of loss, of love and life. The way my mother, halfway across the world, stood in the shadow of her own unimaginable loss, in front of the lifeless body of the Amit to her Labunno, the Amitabh to her Karuna, her literal everything, and still became the axis of our world. She cried quietly into the phone, yes, but she spoke words of pride and reassurance to my sister, virtually held our hands trembling from Bangladesh as we held each other in our now broken home in Toronto, and by Allah's grace, showing a remarkable example of her identity as a Muslim woman. She carried our hearts before her own. Her devotion is like a force unlike any scripted story, stronger than any character built for the screen, a brown Meredith Grey if ever there was one. True mothers, not the cosplayers of parenthood, carry this unshakable pure love. It is a love that moves through distance and despair, steadies hearts, and teaches resilience without ever asking for recognition. On the first day of October in the year 2020, the night sky itself seemed to shift, bending in quiet recognition of the grace it takes to grieve and care simultaneously across borders. In that grief, I felt the universe wrap itself around me like it was trying to tell me, "You're not alone." And I wasn't. Not in the way people think. Because for the first time, I wasn't pretending. I wasn't performing happiness. I wasn't trying to earn love. I was just feeling. Fully, honestly, without filter. And that somehow felt more real than anything else I had ever known. People think life is complicated. And yes, it is. But it's also breathtakingly simple. Breakup, a failed exam, a missed promotion. They may feel like the end of the world. We're not immune to pain, but we are beautifully built to carry it. Every one of our organs, every piece of our cells, every corner of our souls. Even on the most tragic days, there truly is beauty if you know where to look for it. There is the sunrise after the funeral, the shared laughter at a hospital bedside, the sound of your own breath after crying so hard you thought you'd forget how to breathe. These things, they matter. They hold you. They bring you home. Here's what I know now. You will lose people. You will lose dreams. You will lose parts of yourself you once believed were permanent. But if you stay soft, if you let the pain be your teacher, and the ache be your compass, you will gain something deeper. You will learn to love again, to lead again, to build again. Not in spite of your grief, but because of it. This chapter isn't a conclusion. It's a reminder that even on your worst day, there's still breath. There's still you. You can fall apart and still rise. You can be lost and still come home. Because pain is not where the story ends. Sometimes it's where you finally begin. Epilogue. Where I found myself again. Yesterday I walked. Not to get anywhere, not to prove anything. I just walked. And it rained. The kind of rain that feels soft, like the sky was washing something off of me. Like maybe the clouds knew I'd been holding too much. Then the sun came out, gentle, golden, warming the parts of me I thought had gone cold. And then it rained again, but I didn't run, I didn't hide. I let the rain kiss my face like a reminder. You don't have to be dry to be whole. Then the wind came, tugging at my sleeves, whispering, "Let go, let go, let go." So I did. I let go of the need to be understood, of the pressure to be perfect, of the urge to be everything for everyone but me. And in that moment, in that mix of storm and sun, I felt it. I wasn't stuck. I wasn't broken. I was just still. And that stillness felt sacred. Because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't living by someone else's script. I wasn't editing myself to be easier to hold. I wasn't trying to make sense. I was just me, breathing, being, becoming. In a world that didn't ask for perfection, only presence. And the truth is, I'm softer now, but I'm stronger for it. I cry more, but I carry less. I don't know what comes next, but I trust it will meet me where I am. Because yesterday I walked, and the rain didn't ruin me, and the sun didn't save me, and the wind didn't take me. But somewhere between all three, I found myself again. I remembered what Robert Frost once wrote. Home is the place where if you go, they have to take you in. I used to think that meant a house, or a person, or a place I could return to. Now I know better. Home is me, and I will always take myself in, no matter what I've lost, No matter how far I've strayed, no matter how loudly the world tries to rename me, I will always walk back. I will always walk myself back home. And each time, I'll arrive a little softer, a little wiser, a little more mine.